On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, we each give our top three Sooners that need to have a great summer workouts. Then the one, the only Nick Gallo joins us to talk some Thunder and preview the NBA Finals. And then we finish with our winners and losers of the week. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Make sure you check out our website, okbreakdown.com, and follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. All right. Our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's beautiful Wednesday, June 4th, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack, match roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards, and the Oklahoma Sooners did not have good times on the diamond this week, Ted.
Tough. Yeah.
Let's just get it out of the way now. Let's get it out of the way now. We don't want to dwell on it too much. I just want to say the notion that Texas Tech ended Oklahoma's softball dynasty is ridiculous. Why that guy said that, I have no idea. They're coming back in full force next year with all these young players and an incredible recruiting class. Just wait. But credit to Najee Kennedy and that Texas Tech team for them to bounce back in the bottom of the 7th after Dayton hits that home run. That was pretty impressive. But man, what a moment that was. That was incredible.
I think we were, for anyone that wasn't there and was watching, when that happened, that eruption was, because it had been, just kind of the nature of it. You knew it was going to be a tough game to get runs across. And so the crowd was probably, a little more mellow than typical. And when that home run went over the wall and that place erupted, and they had that tight shot of that Tech fans going, holy shit. I mean, that was awesome. And I honestly thought, credit Tech for, like you said, rebounding, because had they not got a run across and it just kind of felt like we were going to take that game, and if we took that game and robbed it from them when they were that close and you got to saddle right back up and play again, that would have been very, very difficult emotionally to recover from. So credit them. That was championship resolve, right?
No doubt.
That was pretty impressive.
And you can say whatever you want about how they acquired Kennedy, but the bottom line is they won the games, man. They won the games. Paying her all that money doesn't win the games. You still have to go out and do it. And I know we're all disappointed. We haven't felt this feeling in quite some time,
right?
But you have to give Texas Tech credit. Like they earned it, man. They earned it.
I'll say a couple of things. Number one, I think because of how great Kennedy is, that I don't think the rest of that team gets maybe the credit they deserve. Number one. And number two, let this be a lesson. If you see a generational player, it's worth the money. If they paid her $1 million, if they paid her $2 million, it was 100% worth every single penny to be where they're at right now. I mean, they haven't won a championship. I think would they win a women's basketball like in '93? They've won some track stuff, but with how big softball has become, that was easily a fantastic investment on their part.
And I do want to point out all the people that when Kennedy made that decision to leave Stanford for Texas Tech, all the people that criticized her for that, right decision,
Yeah.
right? She's going to, if especially if they are able to beat Texas in the championship series, she will be a legend there forever. She's going to be like the women's Texas Tech women's sports Mahomes.
Yep.
She will be a
And
legend forever if she's able to pull it off. And so there were a lot of people that were very vocal of their criticism of what she did. And a lot of those people aren't saying much right now.
yeah, that's true. And I'll say this, um, not a Tech fan at all. Okay.
Same.
But I am really impressed with their coach. I mean, some of the stuff that he said post game, the easy team to root for, likable. Maybe it's just because they're playing Texas and I'm negotiating that mentally, but still, I didn't know much about him other than came from Louisiana, highly respected, took some of his players with him, but I was impressed with him post game.
Very. Yeah. Oh, you fans aren't rooting for Mike White. Come on, man. Not going to happen.
No,
Just
it was funny. I was thinking, I wonder what the crowd is going to look like, because typically, I mean, we've been there a bunch, and when we're there, it's packed. I imagine there's still going to be a bunch of OU softball fans there.
I would assume
Yeah,
baseball just fell in a hole early and kind of snowballed on them.
it was
North
tough.
Carolina's good, man. They're a really good team.
They were good, and whenever you have to play your way through like we did, you burned through a lot of pitching. We had some opportunities early and just couldn't capitalize. And we had a couple of fielding mistakes through the regional that made it really hard on us. But I I I loved this season. I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun, and I think OU baseball is going to continue to get better and better and better.
Got to retain some of the pitching.
Yep.
And it should be next season should be a lot of fun. But kind of a disappointing result in that win an advanced game against the Tar Heels. But a lot of people think they got a chance to go win the whole thing. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it shakes out. But a very fun season for OU baseball. I'm gonna miss Kyson Witherspoon pitching, man. And I kind of hate that his last outing went the way that it did.
Yep. Yep.
Not
It
good.
was tough. It was tough. I love the way Malachi's looking though.
Hello.
I love the way Malachi's looking. And there's a lot of similarities to him this year and Kyson last year. So if we can get him to stick around, that'd be awesome.
Why not?
Why
Maybe
not?
have to pool some dollars together. Got to do what you got to do, baby.
Got to do it.
That's
Got to do it.
that's life in the SEC. All right, let's get to the OU football stuff. We're going to give you our top 3 players that have to have a great summer workouts for Oklahoma football. Now, Ted, first of all, what do summer workouts emphasize? That's probably an important thing to point out before we give our lists.
To me, and that's a very like one of the main qualities that I chose on one of these players is its leadership. Um, well, strength and conditioning, bigger, faster, stronger, in shape, all of those things, obviously first and foremost. But I am a true believer that in order to go accomplish something and to be tight and have a really good winning team atmosphere, you have to suffer together. You have to suffer together. So, and it's not easy. It's designed to be difficult for multiple reasons. You have to be able to rely on one another whenever everything is against you. The weather, the heat, just all of the stuff that you have to suffer through in summer workouts, to me, is it is the best way to prepare yourself for what you're going to face. It's totally different, but it translates perfectly, in my opinion.
Completely agree. And also just the difference between like winter workouts and summer workouts. I always view winter workouts as more adding strength, like moving weight. And then I always viewed summer as like you moving,
Yeah.
speed, agility, explosion. Now, certainly you can get stronger during the summer. It's a problem if you don't, but it's more of like ramping up, getting ready to go out and actually play football.
You've built the machine in the winter, and now you're doing the fine tuning in the summer.
Right. So, with that in mind, who's the first guy on your list?
Jade Knott, you know, hasn't been around this team. Coming off of a season where he was banged up, in order to really get in it, be a part of it. I think it's important for a guy like that to go out, um, be able to make all the workouts, be able to be healthy. Like I said, get in the fire with your new teammates. No better way to become a part of the group and have your teammates accept you than to show up, be an incredibly hard worker, and show that I'm here. I came through the portal. I made NIL, but I need to show everyone here that I'm invested in this team. I'm not just invested in my contract. I'm going to go out and be a part of what we do and be a leader and show that I'm a guy that can be depended on. And the other thing is I don't know where he's at physically. I would expect that he's 100% and ready to go, but that ankle stuff, it hangs around, right? And it can become a career long battle for some guys if you don't get on it early, recover quickly, and go through that meat grinder to get back to your full physical form. So I think it's important for him for a bunch of reasons.
I think that's a great one. And this people have been saying this for forever. Like you only have one opportunity to make a first impression if you're Jay Knott.
Yep.
And that's not only on the coaches, but like your teammates. That's the important one.
You get kicked out of the first workout like everyone else does,
Of
right?
course. Of course.
That's
Let's not
how
be
everyone
ridiculous.
that's how everyone says he's one of us,
Yeah.
right? And
And
then you
then
bounce back and recover and make it through.
you come back at 3 and you get it done, big dog.
That's right. That's
So
right.
yeah, I that's an awesome one. My first guy is Troy Everett. Being out of spring practice, there's just no doubt. Troy Everett is the most vocal guy on that entire football team. But Jake Michael is here to take his job. That battle will work itself out in training camp. Troy Everett has to improve his movement patterns. He needs to be more explosive. He needs to be more sudden out of his stance. He needs to bend better. And that is all stuff that you work on in summer. He's not going to get any taller. His arms aren't going to get any longer. So he has to win battles with quickness and suddenness and technique because Jake Michaela has more length than him and moves better than he does. If Troy Everett wants to be the starting center, he's got to improve the way that he moves this summer. And I think he can. Like, I think that's going to be a legit training camp battle if that's for that starting center position. But if he wants to be the guy, then got to have a great summer, man, or else he's going to find himself in a backup role. So I was just thinking about, I was like, man, this is a critical summer for Troy Everett if he wants to have the role that I know he wants to have on this football team in 2025.
Yeah. And I think the best thing for everyone is that Michaela coming in raises the level well, for both of them, for Michaela himself, for Everett. Knowing that that battle is looming, I, I think that a lot of guys respond well to that, and whatever extra motivation you need to go out in your final year to put it all together, it's right there in front of you.
No doubt about it. All right, who's next on your list?
I'm going with PJ. Um, you know, we talked about the defensive line and Kublik ranking them number one in the SEC. A big part of that is who's going to be at that defensive end spot opposite of our Mason Thomas. And I we all know physically how gifted PJ is. He's been hampered with, ankle issues, foot issues, whatever, lower leg stuff that he's had going on. He put together a solid spring, a healthy spring. He needs to build on that through this summer camp or summer workouts. And I think what you said about Troy translates well to PJ. There's going to be a position battle there. And athletically, it's a little different because he has all of those tools. But movement patterns, like you said with Troy Everett, I think that's kind of the last frontier with PJ. The movement patterns, learning to use his explosiveness and, channel that into his position. There's a lot of things that you can work on, obviously, with strength and conditioning throughout the summer, but there's also a lot of time for skill development, work on your own, pad level, working your pass rush techniques. He needs to really fine tune all of those pieces that come with playing defensive end. And a lot of that is just experience. And he's gathered a lot more of that. And it's good to see that he's healthy. But, he is still one of the guys on the roster that has the highest ceiling. And, it's time that he finally puts all those pieces together. And I think this summer, right here, has to be huge for him to finally step into that kind of accept where he's at on the team in the pecking order, and then go out and change it. Right? Go, like, he's got the tools to go win that job and develop into an elite type of player. Can he make that jump?
PJ, the conversation of the last couple of years has been about his potential. In 2025, that conversation needs to be about production.
Mm-hmm.
He's been here long enough. It's not about potential anymore. You got to go out there and play at a high level. And if you don't, then we're going to be talking about Taylor Wine out on the field. We're going to be talking about Marvin Jones Jr., who is a guy that I almost put on my list. I think at the very least, that guy needs to be in great shape, improve his twitch and explosion, and be a situational pass rusher for this team and have a role on this team.
Mm-hmm.
But PJ needs to go and take that other defensive end job. He's got the potential, but you can only talk about a guy's ceiling for so long. Like he just got to go out there and play at a higher level and be more consistent and be healthy. Yep. Clearly,
healthy availability has been a big issue for him. A guy that needs all that developmental work. It seems like he's had to battle through something like in spring or in training camp. There's always been something looming there, and a big way to fix all of that and make yourself in a healthy spot to where you are available and you're on the field every day in training camp, because that's where you're going to develop all of those fine skills that he needs to finally take out onto the field. So I think he's capable of it.
All right, the next guy on my list is Peyton Bowen. The other safety spot opposite of RSJ feels open. And if Peyton Bowen doesn't want to get passed up by Jaden Hardy or Boganowski, he's got to put together a healthy and productive summer. And I've been watching a lot of the defensive film from last season lately, and when he was out on the field, he just did not have much juice, man.
Yeah.
He,
He's battled that lower leg stuff,
right.
man. Yeah.
And he's got to be able to play faster and be more explosive out on the field. And that's what summer workouts are all about. So he's got to have a great summer so that he can reach his ceiling in the fall. Like it's time for this guy to live up to the 5-star ranking. So this is a big summer for Peyton Bowen, because if he doesn't have the type of summer he needs to have, then I'm not sure what his role looks like on the defense. Like he's undoubtedly going to be a rotational guy at the very least. Like he's extremely talented, but if they can't count on him, then that's when you start falling on the depth chart. So I think it's a really important summer for Bowen.
Yeah. And, I think one of the great things about Peyton Bowen, just conversations with Brandon Hall, safeties coach, is he's got it mentally. He knows it. And that's one of the things they loved about him whenever he came in, is he was ahead of the curve right out of the gate whenever he showed up. Just had a good understanding of how to do the rotations, how the defense works on the back end. So mentally he's there. And I'm with you. I think for him it just boils down to getting healthy and getting that explosion back and being able to play fast.
Who do you have as your third guy?
This is an interesting one. I have Jaden Jackson, and it's not really. We know how great he was last season as a true freshman, but he had that shoulder surgery, and I don't know what the kind of where he's at in his rehab, but he's got a different time frame than most of the other guys, and there's plenty of guys that kind of fall. All your offseason surgery guys kind of fall into this category. It's tough because you've got a shorter window to get to your peak, right? You didn't have the winter where you could add a bunch of strength and work on get your size up and all of that. He's probably been in a position where you got to worry about getting too big and you're not doing everything. There's a chance that you add some bad weight there. So he's got to take advantage of this short window, and whatever he's able to do shoulder wise, get his strength and get up to full capacity again, to where he can have a really good camp. And, it's going to be a long, grueling season, just like it was last year. Hopefully the rotation's a little bit deeper for those guys, but he needs to get back up to speed really quickly. And, I don't have any doubts or concerns that he will. He's that type of guy, but it needs to go really good for him this summer.
No doubt. And we've talked a lot about the depth at defensive tackle, like you mentioned. It'd be awfully nice if Jaden Jackson could just to develop into a game wrecker,
Yeah. That's the next step for him.
Tackles for loss, sacks, QB pressures. Like a guy that when you start your game prep as an opposing offensive lineman, you just go, oh boy. Now, he doesn't have crazy measurables when you go out there and see him in person, but that doesn't mean he can't ruin a game.
No doubt.
With the way that he can play. So I think he exceeded any expectation they had for him as a freshman. But now, even coming off the shoulder surgery, you're going, okay, let's see how good you can be in year two. Like, let's see if you can start turning into a game wrecker, a guy that opposing offenses have to game plan around. He's got that in him. Mm-hmm. But it's about getting more explosive, getting more sudden, becoming a more dynamic pass rusher, which is something that you work on a ton in summer. So I didn't see that one coming, Ted, but that's a good one.
Well, I think he's got an incredibly high ceiling with where he started as a true freshman, and dealt a little bit of adversity with an offseason surgery, but that doesn't mean that he can't come back and be better than he was a year ago. And, I think that's the expectation. As a true freshman, when you play the way that he did, I mean, it's just natural that we all say, what's that next step going to look like? And he's an exciting player.
I For my third guy, I thought about going with one of the wide receivers, whether that's Jaden Gibson, Giovanni Gibson, but that's more of like a rehab discussion
Kind of hard
than
to know, like what. Yeah.
so I went with Eddie Pierre Louis. He's a fan favorite. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the attitude. I like the effort, but the flexibility and his bend, they have to improve if he wants to play at a high level. And that's something you work on a lot of it. Like Eddie needs to be on those off days during summer, he needs to be doing some yoga, baby. Like learn to bend at your ankles, bend at your knees. Learn to, be able to arch your back more, arch your neck more. He plays with too much weight forward. He plays with his head down too much. He bends at the waist too much. And those are things you can work on in the summer. And that needs to be a huge emphasis of what he does. I have no concerns about him in the weight room. Strong weight room guy. Like it's all about the flexibility and bend required to play offensive line at a high level for EPL. And if he does that, he's going to be in the mix, man. He's going to be in the mix if he can play with better technique because he's got the strength, he's got the attitude you're looking for. But you look at this guard situation with Ozida and Wee and Foje and possibly Sexton, if they kick him inside, it's not going to be easy to get on the field, which is a good thing, but it's not going to be easy for EPL to get on the field. So he's got to improve the areas of his game, which I believe are the weak points. And that's overall technique that stems from a lack of flexibility and a lack of, I don't want to get into ankle angles and shin angles and all that stuff, but like it all ties to being able to bend your body and get into an athletic offensive line position. And that needs to be a big focus of what he does this summer. And if he can do it, then he should be a factor for this team. If he doesn't do that and he continues to play with the technique that I've seen from him up to this point, then I'm not sure how much we're going to see of him on the field.
What I know you've said in the past, weight wise, that he needs to get up to. Like, what do you think is for this season? Because he's still young and you can't just pile it on right away. What do you think is a good target number for him weight wise?
I think they had him listed at near 310, right? But he still looked, when we went out to practice, he looked lean, right?
He looks lean, yeah.
If you can, I like lean linemen. I believe that is well established on here. If he could be 310 and lean and be able to bend the way he needs to bend, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
If you're a powerful and explosive 310 at guard, I'm fine with that. I'd rather have a powerful and explosive 310 than kind of a sloppy 330.
Yeah.
That's how I've always viewed it. And in a perfect world, he's lean at 320. He's lean at 315, playing with great technique. Sign me up for that.
Maybe this is a question for another time or something, but does being heavier help a guy stay more balanced to where like with him, he does fire off with aggressiveness, and that's where he gets that forward lean too much. If you get more size to you, is it easier to have the same punch and stay a little more balanced?
No.
It's
technique with him. He's good. He's plenty explosive off the football. He's got plenty of suddenness off the football. He's got too much weight forward, like over his toes, not arching his back, not playing with his insteps, his feet in the ground. You have to play with technique, man, at this level. You can't just fire off the ball and try to kill everyone. It doesn't work.
Yep.
There's a time and a place for that, but you have to be dialed into your technique and bend at the proper places to be able to strain and move guys off the football in the SEC. He's got it. That part of his game has to improve.
Yeah.
Can't be a waist spender at this level. Just you can't. You got to be able to bend and play with good pad level and have your eyes up. It's just it has to happen if he wants to be a significant contributor on this team.
I like it.
You ready to talk some Thunder with Nick Gallo?
Oh yeah.
I love this guy. But first, hitting the highway, remember to stop at Love's Travel Stops. You can't miss the heart of the highway. And with the Love's app, you can also save big. How big? 10 or 15 cents big. Save 10 cents per gallon on gas and 15 cents per gallon on auto diesel. Save with the Love's app today and be welcomed by clean places and friendly faces. Certain conditions may apply. See loves.com for details.
Summer is here, and there's no better way to fire up your cookouts than with Didier Ranch's steak burgers made from 100% premium cuts of steak. These burgers are the real deal. Juicy, flavorful, and packed with that rich, beefy taste that you love. Plus, they're shipped right to your door so you can spend more time doing what you love and less time shopping. Head over to DidierRanch.com now and use code SOONER for a special discount on your first order. Get ready to taste the best burgers you've ever had. Proudly raised 100% in Oklahoma. Didier Ranch, steak in every bite.
And we are brought to you by Simple Modern, the Oklahoma-owned company and the official drinkware partner of the OU Sooners. This month, to celebrate Dad and backed by popular demand, Simple Modern has released a unique OU tumbler while supplies last. Starting June 6th, grab one for your Sooner-loving dad or get one for yourself. But hurry, this limited fan-favorite design won't last long. We're also excited to announce that Simple Modern will be back this fall with a new limited edition tumbler unique for each and every OU home football game. Plus, with 10% of all Simple Modern profits going to charity, many right here in Oklahoma, you're helping Oklahomans everywhere. Simple Modern, it's good everywhere. It is our pleasure to be joined by the most famous sideline reporter on planet Earth. Nick Gallo is in the house. What is going on, man? I know we've been trying for a long time to make this happen. I'm so fired up that you are on with us.
What better time than the NBA Finals, man? I think we were just waiting for this moment.
It's
This is awesome.
wild.
So
It's
awesome.
wild. I imagine as much as you interact with the team that you've probably had some high expectations for this group for a while.
Well, I just think that this is a team that continues to show year in and year out that they can get better, and not just in between the seasons, but during the seasons. And even what we've seen here in the postseason is they've gotten better from the beginning of the playoffs until this point. And I think that's really impressive. So many teams view themselves as finished products. Sometimes when the season starts, like, hey, here's our team, let's roll it out and go beat people. And then there's some teams that, kind of feel like they're a finished product by the end of the season. What is so awesome to see about this Thunder squad is that they don't view themselves that way at all. And part of it, of course, is the long runway they have with the age of the guys. But part of it is also just the mindset of the team. Shea, these guys, they have a growth mindset.
You you have been at every game that this team has played this season. At what point during the season were you like, okay, this team has what it takes to go win it all?
It's so hard to pinpoint, an exact moment, but there are these few little like blips on the radar that are like, whoa, that was pretty impressive. I think the way that this team bounced back about a week after losing at Cleveland, that was such a marquee matchup, big time spot. A week later, those two teams meet up back here in OKC again, and the Thunder just blasted them, and it was a professional picking apart of, a very challenging team, one of the teams that had been playing better than anybody in the NBA at that point in time in the Cavs. And to be able to knock that out the way that they did and respond in the way that they did, I thought was extremely impressive. The other moment that I thought just showed the type of mental fortitude and toughness that this team is becoming known for was, coming out of the NBA Cup in Las Vegas. These guys we left the hotel in Las Vegas at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's bright sunshine way overhead. We landed in Florida, in Orlando, and it was like 8 o'clock at night that day, and pitch black. Just so it was a weird, awkward day, and then you roll into playing at Orlando, at Miami on a back-to-back, and at that point in time, those two teams were really, really humming and playing quite well, and the Thunder just handled their business in that back-to-back set. I thought that was really impressive, coming off of a tough day against the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Cup, and then to be able to go do that. Those were two of the moments that I was like, wow, like this team is really special.
This group has been very easy to root for. And we get a glimpse into what it's like in some of the interview stuff that you do, just the chemistry, and um, you get the feeling that this team likes each other. And I think that means a lot whenever you're pursuing a championship. We have been lucky, at least from the outside looking in, that we've had some really good people around here, but um, this maybe feels a little bit different. Is it as good as it looks? I guess is the way to ask. The team is the presentation to us is that this is a fantastic group. Is it the same way behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, this is what you see is what you get from these guys. They are so genuine. What they're doing for each other out there on the floor, even during the games and then after the games, which everybody sees, that is pure. That is them being there to support one another. That's them, showing up for one another in somebody else's big moment. And I think we've seen the dividends of that over the course of the season in terms of guys being able to slot in and just play. Jay Will didn't play hardly at all in the Memphis series, and then suddenly he's a massive factor in the series against Denver. Isaiah Hartenstein, probably the or one of the most important players in the Denver series, just given the matchup with Jokic. And then last series, his minutes down a little bit, but he is the exact same guy. I mean, the exact same guy cheering on Kenrich Williams when he gets out there and suddenly he's playing in game one. And you just see the way that these guys respond to each other, the way that they act with each other, and all of that is for real. And it's so special in the NBA. I think it really speaks to the caliber of human beings that Sam Presti and the Thunder front office are identifying in the process, that they're not willing to bring people here to Oklahoma City, to this community, to this environment that aren't going to be positive representations of the community and positive influences in the locker room.
It feels like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and his attitude and his approach are a big reason of shaping the culture of this team and of this organization. Clearly, Sam Presti has an imprint on everything. But what has it been like for you to see how Shea and the way that he goes about his business, like how that affects the team as a whole and like how this team carries itself?
Yeah, Shea is such a dynamic person because he is ultra serious about his work. And I think the work ethic, what his teammates see from him in terms of what he puts in, I think that dictates a lot to the rest of the group of like, okay, this is the standard. But there's a breeziness to him that is really rare in the NBA for a guy of his stature and his caliber. Guys just feel very free to be themselves in the Thunder environment. I think Shea has a lot to do with that. He's just so light. He's so easygoing. He, the only thing he demands really comes through his own work ethic, right? And only comes through the example that he's setting for the rest of the guys, and through the way he treats each of these guys. And so I think that is really what sets a tone for the guys in the locker room to be allowed to be themselves. We've heard J-Dub talk about that. Like, hey, I have no problem kind of beating to my own drum. I have no issue being who I am and feeling comfortable in my own skin because Shea is the exact same way. And, he's secure in who he is and isn't, demanding that anybody else try to be like him. The only thing that is required basically is the same standard that the Thunder's holding everybody to, which is to be able to try to make incremental growth, incremental improvement day by day, and that's been the formula.
One of the things that you always hear in the NBA, I don't know whether it's true or not, is you got to earn it. You got to have that playoff experience. Have you noticed anything different? I mean, a successful season last year made it to the Western Conference Finals, but is there a difference in maybe the way this team carries themselves after going through that experience?
I think last year was definitely a formative experience, and the guys took it, very personally. The challenge that was kind of laid out in front of them. I think what we saw in the regular season was certainly impacted by the experiences that they had to that point. But I would say even the seasons where the record was not where you wanted it to be. I mean, those 2 years that were kind of down, so much of the foundation of what has been built was happening then. You hear some of those mantras that Mark Daigneault talks about, like the 0-0 mentality. That was born in a time where they had to have that just to be able to, be feeling good and have the right vibes each day during those years when they were winning, 22, 24 games. And the cool thing is that the guys have really doubled down on those mantras and that mentality here in the times when the team's been good. And so I think what you've seen is maybe the foundation that was laid in the early years, then the accumulation of experience in big time games, and then in the playoffs over the last couple years, and then being able to actually digest the experiences that they're having in real time. So the series against Memphis, where suddenly you're down 29 points on the road in game three, and then the Denver series, where there's all sorts of these tactical situations and binds that Nikola Jokic is going to put you in. They're dealing with those things in real time and then actually getting better through them so that when it comes to playing the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals, they're kind of a more actualized team, this Thunder squad, than they were, 3 or 4 weeks before.
I know that clearly want to preview the finals with you, but up to this point in the playoffs, do you have a favorite moment so far?
Oh man, there's so many. I loved Alex Caruso chasing down Naz Reid in transition, game five of the Western Conference Finals. And, ball just goes off of Reid's foot.
You mean when he scared him?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It reminded me, I mean, you guys will appreciate this. It reminded me of like a defensive line that's getting home, rushing for every time, and the quarterback just kind of gets spooked out of the pocket, and like I worked for the New York Jets and the Tennessee Titans before I came to the Thunder, and I just remember some times where, defenses can really, you know, put quarterbacks in situations where they are seeing ghosts a little bit out there. They don't know where the blitz is coming. They don't know whether the corner's coming off the edge. They don't know, how many are being sent, and sometimes they've got a clean pocket and they don't even realize it. Naz
Don't know
Reid.
what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Naz Reid's 6'11", and he's got a 6'5" guy charging in on him, and just the thought of what had happened in the four games prior to that, obviously pops into his head, and so that's just one example of the swarming defense that the Thunder has used all postseason. I mean, I think we saw that again in Game 7 against Denver, where Cason Wallace comes flying in as Jokic is rolling towards the rim. The Thunder had like put two on the ball up top. Jokic rolls to the middle of the floor, and Cason Wallace is there just to pick off that pass and take it the other way. Some of those moments are really going to stick with me because it's this like 2000 Baltimore Ravens defense that the Thunder's got out there on the floor right now.
It's for me, it's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, it's a little bit different maybe than what we're used to in the NBA. So I think a lot of people have really taken a hold of that.
Yeah.
Matchup is set. Pacers are here. What do you think? How does this line up for the Thunder?
I mean, fascinating series, right? I mean, this Indiana team has been one of the best teams, quietly, been one of the very best teams in the NBA since, about December, January. They started 10 and 15. And so if you just do the math since then, I mean, their record has been outstanding in the back, two-thirds or three-quarters of the season. And so, and then for them to run through the teams that they did in the playoffs to this point. And the thing that's been really impressive is they've really jumped on teams early in these series. They've stolen games on the road early in these, in Cleveland and then in New York as well. And so this is going to be really fascinating to see, how things shake out early in this series, the resilience that both teams are going to need to have. And then, of course, the breakdown of how can the Thunder try to slow down this elite offense that the Pacers has been putting out there, and then how can OKC attack a Pacers defense that has improved and grown even over the course of the playoffs. I think that's where these teams are similar in some degrees. They've gotten better as the playoffs have gone along.
We'll get you back to the interview, but first.
Schwab Meat has been smoking the highest quality meats, hot dogs, and sausages in OKC since 1912. Go to schwabmeat.com to order any of Schwab's outstanding products and use promo code OKBreakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab dogs are iconic. I like to keep it simple. Just a bun, dog, mustard, ketchup. Also, the jalapeno cheddar smoked sausage is ridiculous. schwabmeat.com, code OKBreakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab Meat, the official hot dog of game days.
Oklahoma's favorite pub, Pub W, is a modern American pub offering a great new take on classic drinks and cuisine. They offer an extensive beer and specialty drink selection with something for everyone, and that's exactly why Pub W was voted best happy hour. And we all love a delicious brunch. Pub W brunch is served Saturdays and Sundays until 2 p.m. with some of the most delicious brunch offerings you'll find anywhere. Now open in Yukon, Oklahoma. Visit one of their 6 Oklahoma locations. Visit pubdub.com for locations and menus.
Insurica has launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered. From small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements. Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
All right, back to the interview. What is your preparation for the finals like, Nick? Clearly, you want to be dialed in on all that stuff. You talk about it a lot on your guys' podcasts. What's that prep for you like?
Yeah, I try to keep the same prep that I do during the regular season. So even though we're not having our game broadcasts, I'm still going through every interview, pulling out quotes. I keep everything, transcribed and in these little like databases that I keep for myself. And then,
Nerd.
yeah, a total nerd. I'm like the Excel dad. Um, and do the same thing with stats prep. And that way, I'm ready to call up, career highs or season highs or trends that have been going on throughout the playoffs, either on social media or in any podcasting or things that we're doing here for OKCThunder.com and all of our at OKC Thunder channels. So I really try to maintain the same prep. Probably like you guys, I'm listening to a million podcasts and reading a ton of stuff because there's so much great content out there from people who know the Pacers better than I know the Pacers, and some of the national reporters who have talked, had great one-on-one opportunities with our players. And these people are so talented. They come in and they ask our guys interesting questions, and the Thunder is just so excellent at these players are so excellent at you know opening up in a way that gives some insight into what these guys are thinking as they're going out there on the floor. This has been a really, really fun group to work with, and so it's been really special to have all of these different insights from them. Just thinking about the way that they approach the game. A guy like Cason Wallace, who really he jumps to mind because he's still learning the NBA, right? I mean, he's mostly an instinctual player at this point. He's getting more and more reps with some of these elite players, but for the most part, he still hasn't seen, these guys more than a handful of times. Some of the elite guys like Jamal Murray. And so to see him starting to put it together from the instincts and the film has been really special and cool to hear him talk about that.
You're right. There is a ton of great content out there. And, part of that, whenever you're in the playoffs, as there's fewer and fewer teams, everyone just kind of pours over every little detail. But are there any storylines leading into this series that you think maybe aren't getting the attention they deserve?
Hard to say because, these series really they don't get started until game one. These teams are different than they were in the regular season when they faced each other. The Thunder won both of those matchups, but Chet Holmgren didn't play in either of them. And I think Neesmith didn't play in one of them, and teams are always coming off of strange travel or circumstances. The time that the Thunder played at Indiana earlier this year was the day after Christmas. So, OKC is flying out at 4 p.m. on Christmas Day. Everybody's leaving their families and their kids and their wives. And, it's like it's a weird circumstance. So, I think what you can take away is just good both of these teams have been in the postseason. What strikes me about Indiana, they've shot at about 48% from three in the corners. And that's just outstanding. That's two standard deviations away from the mean in terms of what teams have shot in the postseason from the corners. So that's something that I know, teams are looking at and trying to figure out, okay, how are those shots being generated? How are we taking some of those things away? Or, are the top line priorities what the Thunder's been, using as a top line priority all year, which is prevent teams from getting all the way to the rim, prevent those straight line drives. So going to be fascinating to see how that dynamic works out. And then also, how does this Thunder offense operate against an Indiana defense that, has at times shown, a little bit of an ability to put Pascal Siakam in a lot of different situations, to have the rim protection with Miles Turner, but also maybe some spots that you can pick at as well.
Hey, the defense is already off to a good start. They had to settle for an outside jumper
That's
when that line of thunderstorms came through, right? Had to land
that's
in Tulsa.
that's right. OKC, we're like ready, locked and loaded. Got that fortress up already.
Even Mother Nature's on our side, guys.
That's
That's
right.
good. That's
Right.
good. Now, we've gone this long without talking about the post-game interviews and just what those have become, not only for our fan base, but kind of nationally. Like, dude, you're famous for these post-game interactions now. What what has that been like for you, dude?
I mean, it's so special, especially being, here as long as I have been. My first year with the team was 2012, the year that the Thunder went to the finals. And so to be embedded in this community the way that I have been, to have made Oklahoma City my home. I met my wife here. We've got three kids. We love living here. And to then have this response from the players and the fans and, the organization, it's been unbelievably special and something that I don't take for granted at all because, nobody gets treated the way that these players treat me. And I think what makes it really special also is, this is the most visible way that they're doing this, but these guys treat everybody in the organization with such a great degree of respect and, genuine heartfelt support. They go out of their way for so many people. I feel really fortunate that what they do with me gets, displayed in a way that comes back well on them. The response that it's gotten, I think we live in a business, as people in media where we want to show and not tell. And what a better representation of who these guys are as human beings than, what they do after these games, supporting each other, including me in it. It's so cool.
It could be difficult in that position to roll with the punches. I have You've done an awesome job of being able to keep your composure. Have there ever been any times where it's really tripped you up?
I think the closest was when they put the hoodie and the J Will jersey on me. That was tough to keep a straight face. But really, I mean, my perspective has always been, like, yes, that's a chance that I get to do that interview, but that's really the player's moment. That's their moment. They're the ones that have put all this work in to be able to do something that only a few hundred people in the world can do, which is win an NBA game. And so I feel like it's kind of my duty to be as present as possible as I can be for them, to make that the best experience for them that they can have, and to put them in the best light as possible. I think, just by having that mindset, I think and hope that that's what's happening for them. And I think it's a great chance for them to showcase how much they love and support one another. And so if I can just be as present and as locked in as possible there, then maybe that can be that for them.
You have merch. There's Nick Gallo merch everywhere now, man.
Yeah, it's outrageous. It is absolutely outrageous. And
That's got to be so fun, though.
oh,
I hope you're getting a cut of all of it. I
I mean,
hope that
for
my
my
guy's
kids,
getting paid. But
yeah,
that's got to be. I mean, you could have never. A sideline reporter never imagines that you're going to have your face on a bunch of t-shirts that fans are wearing in the
Yeah,
arena. Like I
yeah,
see them
no way.
everywhere.
Yeah, no way. I mean, it's so wild and so cool, and it's really special for my family and my friends. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, like you get older over the course of time, your friends, spread out over the country, and your family. I don't live that close to like my parents and my grandparents and everybody, so this has been so fun to just celebrate, all of the success of the team in a way that's like pretty unique with my family as well. My kids who are really young, they love it. They get a kick out of it. They're not going to know a world that's like somewhat normal where your like dad isn't on a t-shirt. So so I'm sure things will mellow out at some point, but it is fun that they get to, go to school rocking the big dog shirt and that kind of thing.
Well, how do you feel about the the series, like the chances? And I know that you've been here before, and I guess just how is it different maybe now whenever you see this team and their chances to go win a championship when you compare them to some other opportunities that they've had in the past?
So, I mean, so hard to say in terms of comparing because just the eras are so different, right? Like the way that you build teams now compared to in 2016 and 2012 and 2014 are so drastically different. And then also like timing and circumstances are different, right? Like the Thunder, every NBA team deals with injuries and bad luck and timing and good luck and that kind of thing. And, if you look, for a few years in a row, it was Russell Westbrook's knee getting taken out, and Serge Ibaka's calf, and Kevin Durant's foot. I mean, there's just things that pop up over the course of time. This season, knock on wood, the Thunder's adversity came earlier in the year when they didn't have a center for about 2 months out of the 2 or 3 months out of the season. They're playing with one or zero healthy centers. And so, fortunately, the timing has worked out to this point where they're heading into the finals healthy. That's obviously a huge deal in any playoff setting. I think we saw that with Cleveland. They were missing a few guys early in that series against Indiana. You never know what happens if they're fully whole. And so I think, this team has got a great chance to do what it's done all season long, which is they got to win 4 games before the other team wins 4 games. And they've been able to do stuff like that all year long. They're obviously facing an incredible opponent that's playing with the most confidence that they've had all season long, but the Thunder's feeling pretty confident too. And now it's just going out and playing between those lines for 48 minutes, having that 0-0 48-minute mentality.
Before we let you go, Nick, I want to brag on you a little bit. Earlier in the season, when you started getting more and more exposure, and whether you want to call it fame, like whatever word you want to use for it, you and I had a conversation about like what you wanted to get out of that.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to sell merch. You didn't want to benefit, personally from it. You wanted to get more involved in philanthropy here in Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to encourage everyone that's in the nonprofit community here in the city or in the state, hit Nick up to do your events. He I was just blown away that was the only thing that you wanted to parlay out of this, newfound notoriety that you've got. I just thought it said so much about you as a person, man.
Gabe, I really appreciate you saying that. And I sincerely appreciated our conversation back then. You're such a great guy and a huge fixture in this community. And this place has meant so much to me. I mean, I came to Oklahoma City when I was 23. I hardly knew anybody. And, my first night in town, I was coming from New York City. My first night in town, one of my new coworkers found out that I wasn't going to be able to, you know, get into my apartment for a week. I was going to have to pay to, stay in a hotel for a week. And he was like, no, no, no. You come and stay with me and my fiance. We'll give you a place to stay so you don't have to, pay out of pocket, to be here. And I was like, wow, this place is so different. Like, there's something really unique and special about Oklahoma City. And, it's just, I feel like this place has raised me in a way, and so I want to do, any opportunity that I have to give back or to help out around this place. I want to take advantage of that and do the most to be here for people who have made this so special. If not for the fans, if not for the people in the city, this team can't thrive the way that it does. I don't have a job, and so I want to pay it forward the best that I can.
They're probably going to make you like stack towels though when you're emceeing the events. You know that, right? Like that's the when
That
when you
comes with
went
the
on
territory,
ESPN,
man. Yeah.
when you went on ESPN and they did that, I was like, wow, this is like that is Nick Gallo is the towel guy. Like that's
Apparently,
it's
apparently.
good to be known for something, man.
It is, yeah. Everybody's got to have something. So, it's been cool, and some of these opportunities. I think the best part of it is like, it's there's a joy. I think what we talked about earlier about the guys and the way they treat each other, like there is a joy for Thunder basketball, and I think everywhere in life there's a lot of negativity, and even in the NBA world there can be a lot of negative partisanship. There can be a lot of like negative news stories that generate traction. This is all positive. This is all good. This is a team that people love to root for. They love to watch do what they do, and I think it's something that the league and our community in particular should really be proud of. That this is the representation that Oklahoma City is getting on a national and now in the finals, international stage.
Nonprofit organizations in Oklahoma City, hit Nick up. He wants to give back. Do it. You're the man, dude. I can't wait till Thursday night. I
I know,
cannot
man.
wait.
Am I gonna be seeing you courtside? Where are you gonna
Yeah,
be at?
baby, I'll be
All right,
there.
that's
Hey,
awesome.
and I've got Thunder in 5. I'm feeling confident about it. I know, don't make a prediction. I know you won't, but I've also put plans in place to be at game 6 in case we got to close them out on the road. So we
Okay.
are the Ikard family. We're all in,
You're
baby.
ready
Let's
to
go.
rock, man. Yeah, you guys do it big, man. You got kids. You go wherever the action is, though, man.
The kids were not happy. My almost 4-year-old not happy when I told him that he would not be getting a seat to the
Yeah.
finals. Did not take it
Daddy, daddy's
well,
got
but
daddy's got business. Daddy's got
yeah,
business for game one.
I
All
said
right.
adults only.
Yeah,
Adults only.
yeah,
It's past
yeah.
bedtime, buddy.
That's tough.
Is what it is.
It's-
Can't give a 4-year-old a final ticket, man. It
No,
just can't. I
no, no,
could do it.
no,
Could do
no.
it. Nick, you're the best, buddy. Enjoy media day, and we'll see
Thanks,
you at
guys.
game 1.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This has been great. Great talking to you.
3 things matter in banking: service, service, and service. And First Fidelity Bank's commitment to exceptional service is more than a promise, it's their foundation. FFB has been by your side for over a century, and they are honored to be a part of your journey. Banking isn't about where you've been, it's about where you are headed. Open an account at an award-winning bank today at ffb.com. At First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go. And go to opolisclothing.com and use promo code TED for 10% off our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's opolisclothing.com and use promo code TED. Buttery soft and 10% off. As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
Mason Howell, 17-year-old high school junior, fires a pair of 63s on Monday to qualify for the U.S. Open. 63s as a high school junior. Can you imagine that? And the crazy thing is he tied with someone else to get in a pro. That's insanity. 18 under.
A quick golf story, Ted. Not only can I not imagine it, I had what I think many would consider a nightmare scenario on the golf course on Tuesday.
Uh-oh.
Finish the 7th hole
Mm-hmm.
there at OKC. Or no, excuse me, finish the 8th hole there at OKC. Make par. Feeling good. Feeling good about things.
Mm-hmm.
There is a group of 5, either, I don't know, high school junior to college freshman age guys.
Okay.
Rolling. They've got a 5-some in front of us.
All right.
And they, credit to these young men, it's just me and my buddy Logan. We're just out there. We play 9 holes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we try to be done in like an hour and 20 minutes. Our pace of play is very good. And they say, hey, guys, go ahead, go through. Had been driving the ball pretty well all day long.
Uh-oh.
Step to the 9th tee.
You got a little gallery there.
Confidence. Feeling confident. Slice it, OB.
Oh, man.
In front of all of them. All of them watching.
And you
And
got
now-
room to the right there on 9.
Yeah, but it was really right. Like I've been hitting the fade off the tee and feeling really good about it. And it was also blowing like 25 miles an hour. So,
Yeah.
when that thing gets spinning and the wind gets it, not good. Now, immediately reteed, no practice swing, smoke one right down the middle of the fairway. But the damage was done, man. Those kids will never respect me ever again. Nightmare,
It's the
dude.
worst.
Nightmare.
Go ahead, play through. We'll all stand right around you as you swing.
I even made the joke and said, okay, all of you guys close your eyes and
Isn't
just
it so annoying though? Like the next shot is like the easiest thing you've ever done in your life.
why is it that way? The
I
second
don't know.
ball,
I don't know.
it makes no sense. And then hit a great 6 iron just left of the green. Like
I don't
I
know.
I choked, man. I didn't perform in front of these young guys, and they probably roasted me in their group chat and everything. It just
Yeah. Well, it's okay.
like we just saw this old man hit the worst drive you've ever seen. Golf's hard. It's hard, man.
I mean, I can't imagine shooting back-to-back 63s, 36 holes in one day with the pressure to qualify for the Open. Maybe at 17, there really is no pressure with anything, right? Maybe you could
He's
just,
a really highly ranked junior golfer. He's like number 8 or something like that. But still, that's insane.
yeah.
I don't know about you. I would like to see, and maybe it's too difficult, but I would like to see coverage of the US Open qualifiers when guys get on these heaters. Like I want to watch that. I want to watch this 17-year-old kid just play out of his mind to qualify for the US Open. Like that would be riveting television.
Breaking news, we got to cut in. We've got a 17-year-old on a heater right now. Must watch.
Like an NFL red zone, but for US Open qualifying. Right? The coverage is whipping around to these different courses. I know they're in different places. The logistics of this probably not realistic, but how cool would that be? Like you just whip around the country to guys that are on fire out on the golf course and you get to watch it. That would be really, really fun.
It's an amazing idea. They don't like ideas in golf because I have an easy one. How about you show the entire national championship of golf, right? How about that? There's a place to start. But I think you got a hell of an idea. Now, your prize for shooting 263s is you get to go and play the most difficult golf course setup ever and probably fire a couple of 80s. But hey, maybe he goes out there and goes on a rip. That would be awesome too.
Have you seen the clips of Oakmont's rough right now?
No.
I I don't even know what I would do. Like I don't you would I would walk up to the ball and be like, what am I supposed to do with this? It appears they have set up the course where if you are not straight off the tee, you are not going to have a good time.
No. No. And good luck hitting it from that rough and landing it on the hardened glass greens, I'm sure, right? Where they're not going to be able to hold anything. Tough. Which that's my favorite part of the US Open.
I was
Whenever
about to say,
they
are you a root for the course guy when it comes to the US
I
Open?
I want the slaughter. I want post round interviews with guys bitching about how hard the golf course is and it's ridiculous. That's exactly what I want from the US Open.
Okay. Good.
Winner should be even.
I, one under par. What happens if they threw a caveat? Like if you're not under par, you actually no one wins.
We just keep playing. We keep
We keep
playing.
we keep playing until someone's under par.
Well, sorry, folks. No winner this year. Better luck next year.
At this point, I will be shocked if Scotty Scheffler isn't under par. The guy is a machine.
Uh, he needs to. The Rockies are on a tear. They just won a series, so he's better pick up his game, catch back up.
It was like they had a 22 series losing streak. Snap. How do you think the Marlins feel about that?
Uh, well, I don't know. I guess with the 162 games, you probably just take it in stride, but not a good look.
Yeah, good, good for the Rockies. I'm glad those guys got to feel a winning feeling. All right, who is your loser of the week?
I had to go with Tom Thibodeau of the Knicks.
Oh, how many? He's my loser of the week.
Do
This
I
this is
cross you
hey,
up?
this is the risk that we take by not communicating before we do the podcast. So, has this happened before?
If it has, it's rare. We're on a 532 game streak. We just trashed it over
Well,
Thibodeau.
we've got the same loser of the week, so we're both going to do it. You go. Let's do it.
Well, your reward for the best finish in 25 years for the Knicks is see you later. We're out. We're done. We're moving on. Which, I don't know the dynamics there, but it seems odd to me. Am I missing something?
Normally, when you lead a team to the on the deepest playoff run they've had in 25 years, normally you get a contract extension.
Mm-hmm.
You don't typically get fired, especially when they owe you like $30 million.
Well, and I I don't know. It feels like it's pretty agreed. It's an agreed upon take that the Knicks need a couple more guys with where they're at, right? I mean, could you say they overachieved this year by making the Eastern Conference Finals? I mean, they were an underdog going in, but was a fun story. They did some really good things, and they're still a couple of players away, but I don't know, seems pretty shocking. But I always say, hey, if you're paying me $30 million to leave the building, I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sign me up for that arrangement.
Pretty good.
Back-to-back 50-win seasons for the Knicks for the first time since 1995. I I'm guessing, this is my guess, is that they feel like Tom Thibodeau has taken the Knicks as far as he can take them.
Yeah.
Like that they're capped out. And there's always been a big discussion about how many minutes he plays his guys. And it's funny because he actually started using his bench a little more in the Eastern Conference Finals. I wonder if he just went, wait, I can do this all the time? Really? No,
I
but
didn't realize you guys could play.
you you've got a solid core there in New York that is all under contract, but there's maybe it's one of those situations where you look at what happened with Tatum in Boston. Certainly Indiana's going to be a factor next season, but it feels like the East is wide open next season. And if they felt that Thibodeau isn't the guy that can get him over the hump, there's going to be a lot of people interested in that job because it's the Knicks, because you have that solid core under contract, and because the East is looks like it's going to be very easy next season
Yeah.
compared to the West. That's
Yeah.
an attractive job. I'm very interested to see who they go and get because I thought this was very, very telling. Tom Thibodeau has a career winning percentage of 579. That is the highest by any head coach without a finals appearance in NBA history with a minimum of 300 games coached.
Huh. I you
Dude's a
know,
good coach. He's a
yeah,
good coach.
I guess there are coaches, I guess, that are maybe better at building, and then maybe there's better coaches that are perhaps better at polishing and finishing, but I don't know. I just thought it was an odd headline whenever I stumbled across it. I was like, huh, of all the perhaps musical chairs that you get in the coaching world, I didn't expect Tom Thibodeau to be one that was expecting to get fired. And I don't know, maybe that was kind of the talk around there and that was an expectation, but still surprising for me nonetheless.
It was definitely a discussion that was taking place. Like I'd heard Bill Simmons talk about it on his podcast, and I don't know. Is the grass greener on the other side for the New York Knicks? Only time will tell, right? If they made the proper decision. We'll
Only
see.
only time and money will tell, right?
Right. I don't think the Knicks are worried about revenue. I could be wrong, but anytime something big in the NBA happens like this, I always think, okay, how does this affect the Thunder? And really, what the New York Knicks are doing over in the Eastern Conference does not have a big effect on the Oklahoma City Thunder, unless you're playing them in the finals. But it did make me realize that just how much I appreciate Mark Daignault. It just what we have with him as our coach. It feels like he's going to be here forever.
We're set up pretty good. Set up pretty good with the Thunder. Roster wise, youth wise, picks wise, coaching wise.
And the way that Daignault talks about Sam Presti and the ownership doesn't feel like even if the Knicks threw a massive bag at him that he would consider it. Now his agent may leverage it to get some more money from the Thunder, and that's fine. He's about to be a championship winning coach. But
Well, if I was maybe this would make me uh a bad GM, but if a coach in Mark Dagnall's situation came to me and said that Knicks job, I I wouldn't even consider that as a negotiating tactic. Be like, there's no chance. There's zero chance you're leaving what you have here for the Knicks. There's no way. Nice try. I respect it, but no, thank you.
you think Presti gets a call from Mark's agent, and Presti just goes, "Oh, come on, come on. We
Yeah.
know he's not. Come on, come on."
Do we really have to go through this formality? I mean, come on.
It
Okay.
feels good to know who your guy is.
Yeah, it does.
All right, let's get to my just winner since Teddy stole my loser.
You want me to start clearing my winners and losers?
No,
Okay.
that would we can't let the spontaneity die.
Okay. That's right. Sorry about
That's
that.
the secret sauce.
I will actually now I'll try to cut in on yours. I'm going to get inside your head and try and at the last moment steal your winners and losers.
Good luck. All right, guys, it is time to make the switch to the Ridge wallet. Go to ridge.com/OK breakdown for up to 40% off just in time for Father's Day. The days of the super fat wallet that hurt to sit on are over. Make the switch to this sleek modern design that can hold up to 12 cards and cash. And I love this little elastic band. You can put all kinds of stuff in there. It's awesome. Ridge has over 50 colors and styles to choose from. And we're talking free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all of their products. This is literally the last wallet you'll ever have to buy. Ridge wallets have RFID blocking technology that keeps you safe from digital pickpocketers. And if one of those guys that misplaces your wallet a lot, the Ridge wallet AirTag attachment is perfect for you. Right now, just in time for Father's Day, Ridge is having a huge sale. Get up to 40% off your order at ridge.com/OK breakdown. Just head to ridge.com/OK breakdown to find the perfect dip for dad or yourself. When you check out, they ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Give dad the upgrade he deserves this year with Ridge. All right, for my winner of the week, are we 5+11, guys? Are we 5+11ers?
It seems to be trending that direction. I mean, there's for playoff format and seeding, I prefer it, but there's some things that I think you lose that I was hoping for if you go with that format.
It feels like it is a happy medium when it comes to on the confusion scale for casual people. Let me explain. If you're doing a 16 team college football playoff format, the easiest thing to explain to a 5-year-old is the 16 best teams get in. That's the easiest way to explain it.
Yep.
That would be the simplest form of a 16 team playoff. The most complicated form would be the SEC and Big Ten get 4, the Big 12 and ACC get 12 or get 2, the group of 5 gets 1, and then there are 3 at-larges that the committee selects. That's very confusing to explain to people.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like 5 plus 11, the 5 top-ranked conference champions, and then 11 at-larges picked by the committee. It feels still maybe a little confusing to some people, but much more easy to explain than the 4-4-2-2-1 plus 3. Right?
Yes.
We can't just take the easy, hey, here's the best 16. That's too easy, Ted. So let's go with the 5 plus 11.
Right.
It is interesting that it sounds like the Big Ten thought they had an ally in the SEC with the 4-4-2-2-1 plus 3. That is, it's even confusing to say. But it appears that now after SEC meetings down there in Destin that the coaches, they don't want that. They want the 5 plus 11.
Which is interesting. Like, I wonder what the thought process is there with the coaches. The thing that the only reason I don't like it, and it's not, I like it, but the fallout from that is I don't expect to get a 9-game SEC schedule, and I don't expect the Big Ten SEC non-conference arrangement that was starting to get a little bit of play. I think both of those, if you're in this format, are going to fall.
I think those die with this, right?
Yeah.
And those were things that we were excited about. I mean, I was excited about the SEC Big Ten non-conference game arrangement. That was going to be cool. That was going to result in, maybe it's just selfish, that was going to result in me and you get to go some cool places and call some fun games.
Yep.
But there's really not much of an incentive to do that now. And
no.
I think the SEC coaches are looking at it going, let's do 5 plus 11 so we don't have to play that 9th conference game.
Probably.
The question becomes, does the Big 12 and ACC, like, do they care if the SEC doesn't go to 9 conference games?
I don't know. Like, another problem with it is for the SEC, the discrepancy in scheduling within the conference. It's one thing with the schedule that Oklahoma has this year. If you have 4 guaranteed teams out of the SEC to get in, you got a better shot. But this is back to more of a beauty contest again, to where, the win column and the loss column are going to be really important all over again. So you feel like you're shifting back to, well, let's make our non-conference easier so we can get those 4 wins. But like, when you have, I mean, the ESPN FPI was out, and I think we played like 7 teams in the top 15 or 17, something like that. And you get killed in a format that's all about how many wins did you get?
That is why, if they do this, if they do the 5 plus 11, this is my strongest belief. If they take the college football playoff to the 5 plus 11 model, You have to redo what the college football playoff committee looks like. You have to redo it because that committee is going to be picking 11 teams and then ranking those 11 teams. And there needs to be football people on that committee. Not incredibly busy athletic directors, many of which do not have a football background. It needs to be football people, former players, former coaches, former talent evaluators, football people, people that know how to watch film and know what they're looking at. And those people's sole focus during football season needs to be watching games, watching tape, and discussing these teams. I don't want them doing anything else. Pay them accordingly. I want it to be their job to be paying attention the entire college football season to what is happening on the field. Pay them well to do it. The committee needs to be football people with high-level football knowledge. And it makes no sense that we've done it the way that we've done it with the committee for so long. And with football people on there, you have to start answering the questions as why a team was ranked ahead of another team. Yeah. The fact that we've gotten these vague answers with no explanations for so long is ridiculous. I need someone that knows the difference between cover 3 and cover 2 to be able to come and say why Alabama is ranked ahead of Clemson in this ranking. And it shouldn't be that hard. There should be 3 or 4 reasons why you have put a team in front of another team. And there's no reason why the committee shouldn't be able to say that publicly. All the secrecy, all this, it needs to go away if you're picking 11 of the teams that are going to be in this 16-team field.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I agree. I mean, it would be nice if you had some type of baseline formula that everyone could look at that makes sense, because currently it's just whatever talking points that you choose to pluck for every team, right? There's no consistency. You could say, well, this team did this on the road and they played well against this team and they beat this team by, X amount. And then you go to the next team and like those criteria are totally thrown out. Like we didn't look at those things for this team. It was a totally different set of circumstances. And it just leaves everyone thinking, it's all political.
One thing else, I just want someone to come out and just say something that is related to football when discussing the two teams. Hey, guess what? We have Team A ranked ahead of Team B because we think Team A's offensive line would be able to block Team B's defensive line. Team B's defensive line hasn't shown to be a disruptive group. We think Team A would have a lot of offensive success. We've got these metrics that back it up. And after evaluating the two teams at the line of scrimmage, that's how the committee feels. It would just blow people's mind to hear something like that coming from the committee.
Yeah.
It'd be great. It'd be so refreshing.
The perfect mix of nerds and football guys.
That's what we need. We need it. It needs to be. That's a great talent evaluators. And yes, you need to have a couple of analytical people on there.
You have to be able to back up your opinions of these teams with data that you can present to the public that they can easily look at and say, oh, well, I see, that makes some sense. But then again, it never makes sense whenever your team has been passed by another team. It doesn't matter what the analytics or what some football guy says. So it just all circles back to, I don't know that we're ever going to find a reasonable, like a scenario that makes everyone happy, I guess is the best way.
Well, Brett Yormark has come out and publicly backed 5+11, even though it's probably not the best way for the Big 12 to get the most teams in. And it's because he doesn't want to admit, the Big 12 and the ACC do not want to admit they are inferior conferences to the Big 10 and the SEC. I totally get that. Hey, let's play it on the field and let's see what happens. I think this is what we're going to land on, 5 plus 11. And I'm fine with it.
And that's one way to do it, is to say, like, you don't want to admit up front that you're not as good, but be careful what may happen where you don't have to admit anything. Everyone can just see it play out in real time. That's the other worry there. But, perhaps your conference will back you up.
That's where Sankey probably heard Yormark say that and was like, yeah, okay, we're getting 4 in for sure, no matter what, probably. So, yeah, we're good with 5 plus 11. Here we go.
Yeah.
Birthday shout-outs. Welcome to the world, Theodore Teddy Hoyt a Duddle. What a name. What's up, Teddy? Welcome to the world, buddy.
Happy second birthday to Bruce Marlin Bumgarner.
Happy 11th birthday to Carson King.
Happy 4th anniversary to Carrie and Christina Bailey.
And congrats to Nick Nafee on being a great dad. Happy almost Father's Day, Nick. Heard you're a big fan of the pod. We appreciate you, big guy. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
What a shout out. Hey, congrats on being a great dad.
This is good. Hey, we need that every now and then.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do, buddy. On that note, episode 533 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop on Sunday. Just a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hope you all have a great week. And until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening. Do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.